Welcome to Not Suitable for Democracy. I'm Nick Hobby, and I'm your host. And we're back. We took several weeks off after Zohran Mamdani won the Democratic primary for New York City mayor. Clearly overjoyed, right? So the fact that, we were out knocking doors, definitely keeping a very close eye on the campaign, even attending some events, forums even, where Zohran and the other candidates were making their case. Long story short, it was really just a life-changing kind of experience in order to really watch where Zohran entered the race in October with 1 or 2% of the vote, or the polling according to, right? To not only winning, but winning in a landslide plus 12%. Anything over 10% is a landslide, so 12%, amazing. And he actually got the most votes in Democratic primary history. Now, granted, to be clear, ranked choice voting allowed voters to rank, obviously, Zohran number 1, but also 2 through 5. So once you calculate all the 2 through 5 votes, yes, a bunch went to Zohran as well. So it's not like first past the post, which is how we normally conduct elections here, right? But at the end of the day, when you add them all up, Zohran did make history. So I wanted to clarify that, but at the end of the day, it is really a strong showing, especially for Democratic primary that increased turnout from 2021, right, which was at 25, 26%, and now it was close to 29 to 30%. So a few more Democrats came out to the polls, and key was younger voters, especially voters under 45. We came out in very high numbers for Zohran, but most particularly Gen Z, the 18 to 24-year-old crowd. Love them. The fact that they were in it to win it. Zohran's message, his videos, his talent, his communication, his platform, and his vision brought them all out to the polls, something that we rarely see, especially in such high numbers. So at the end of the day, well done to Zohran and his team. Incredible work. And, since it's been several weeks, right, I've seen a lot of hot takes and a lot of good analysis, a lot of not so good analysis, right? Like, for instance, a lot of people, left and right, actually, just whittling down Zohran's campaign victory to just, I don't want to say victory, but his campaign victory to social media videos. That's it. They just thought, oh, well, he had good videos and that's how he won. Absolutely not. You recall that certain state senator who just thought he had good videos, using that as a dig against him. I'm not even going to say her name because it's not worth her time. And she has a primary challenger. So let's just be clear about that. Quick tangent. State Senator Jessica Ramos, who represents the 13th Senate District here in Queens. She's not my senator, but she does have a primary challenger. So shout out to State Assembly Member Jessica González-Rojas. She is my State Assembly member for District 34. She has jumped in the race to challenge State Senator Jessica Ramos. So going from the Assembly to the Senate, very much a great leap. The fact that Jessica González-Rojas has an incredible record. She's delivered for the community. She has positioned herself in a very strategic way that not only aligns with the values of the community, but also has such a great coalition where she has worked with folks that are closer to the center and then folks who are more to the left and socialist. So the fact that she can really, organize across both camps or everyone in between, so shows me that she has the talent and the skill. I'm super excited to support her campaign. She did launch her campaign just last month in July. So now that we have until the primary in 2026, it's going to be very exciting to see how the battle of the Jessicas, the media is going to run with that. It's going to be very exciting to see how Jessica González-Rojas performs in that election. And we're going to make sure she wins. So get ready for volunteer opportunities and organizing and events because she is going to win it. Cannot wait. All right, so back to what I was saying about Zohran. He had great videos, right? And the key here wasn't just the message or the style, right? But also it was so authentic. We got to see Zohran really just showcase himself, right? And sure, people played to the camera, and sure, he had a team of people who were really good at editing videos. But at the end of the day, it's how he spoke. It was the vibes, right? The energy. And you can tell he wasn't faking it. It was authentic and genuine, and to be frank, very entertaining. He had videos that were funny, videos that were really informative, but also just, it made you want to tell your friends how cool they were. So, like, just that whole word of mouth engagement, right? Like, hey, you got to check out his videos. They're great. Oh, yeah, let's do it. That has also helped spread the word and really got people interested, right? So, yes, they were good videos, but it was way more than that. So let's also think about this, right? Social media strategy. Zohran knew how to connect with influencers, let alone folks where, if you think about it, like the influencer bubble, there's a good portion of them living right here in New York City. So there was easy access, right? The fact that he can connect with them obviously online, but even film with them here in New York. That in-person connection was just as valuable as that online. But having that reach, right? Like if anyone was tracking his social media, like his Instagram, you could see that he had tens of thousands of followers, but now I believe he's over 1 million. So that being said, he clearly just exponentially grew. Again, thanks to a clear message, a great vision, but also coming across as someone who was not combative. I think that is a key sore spot for the left. I consider myself on the left, but I do not consider myself to be as combative these days. I was once upon a time, not gonna lie. So I can't say I'm I didn't do that. But what I have learned is that from my mistakes in the past, or even organizing experiences, right? The way we really make progress isn't by telling people how they should feel. It's getting them to understand how we feel and then meeting them where they're at. So if they don't feel the same way, what questions can we ask? What experiences can we share to then get them to understand or open up that empathy, right? That's what it's going to come down to, right? How can we, really make sure folks are hearing us, but also we're listening to them? It's this two-way street that I think a lot of people on the left, not going to say everyone, but the receipts are online. You can look at the tweets on X, you can look at Instagram comments, you can look at TikTok comments, like they're all out there. People are willing to just say how they feel, very one-sided, which, hey, free speech, say what you want. But the freedom of speech is not absolute. And to be frank, I don't think that strategy has helped us. I mean, the left has a very hard time building power. And yes, Zohran won the election. Yes, Zohran had a good message. Yes, he's a leader of the left. But not everyone is Zohran, right? There's a lot of people who kind of shoot from the hip. They speak from a place of anger, right? They can be sad. They can be resentful. They can be disappointed. But in doing so, right, that anger doesn't translate well from online to in person. I'm going to switch gears real sec. Give you an example. AOC, a congressional rep, voted recently. Basically, AOC voted no on that amendment. So voting no to not remove $500 million, isn't good, right? People want to see that removed. Granted, only 6 people voted for it, 4 Democrats, 2 Republicans, so wasn't really going to pass. But at the end of the day, people did not like that. So people on the left were angry. They were pissed. They were disappointed. They were sad. They were very depressed over this symbolic vote. So this is where the left, I think, gets it wrong. I know I'm going to get the comments for it. I know I'm going to get for it, but you know what? It just needs to be said. That anger that was carried out online, while feelings are valid, it had then led to vandalism. Now, AOC's office in the Bronx was vandalized on Sunday evening, just days after that symbolic vote. So the fact that vandalism, right? What happened, there was red paints, sprayed across the office, right? In this, really jarring blood red color. Long story short, I don't think it was necessary. Sure, that is one way to tell AOC how angry you are, but I wouldn't condone that. I wouldn't support that because let's think about it. someone or people, I don't know who, but went out of their way on a Sunday night to damage property as a result of her no vote tells me that while anger is valid, I don't think that was the best approach, because everyone who wasn't in that online conversation, what are they perceiving from it? Fear, right? Because even if it was meant for AOC only, you have her campaign staff, or you have her Bronx office, like actual staff who are looking to deliver for the community on her behalf. You have community members, people who woke up the next day and was like, well, what's going on? Why is there red paint over AOC's thing? Like, what happened? And because it is physical now, right? It's one thing to like tweet a little something, little angry emojis, but now it's gone real, right? Like tangible effect of like having to now, I don't know who pays for it, whether it's tax dollars. Yeah, I guess it is tax dollars because it's AOC's office. So now it's got to be our tax dollars used to clean up the mess that people decide to make because they were angry over a vote. And it's like, I get the moral argument for it. I'm not saying that's bad or it's wrong, because clearly the moral argument is the only argument. But then when you think about the real life tangible impact, right? If you're going to have, people in harm's way, that's not okay, right? We shouldn't be going that direction. But that's essentially where it's at. So, I don't want to whataboutism and be like, oh, the next time there's a vote, it's going to happen again. Like, the point is, the left needs to organize, not agonize. And we know it was a symbolic vote. AOC was one member out of 435. Wasn't going to pass anyway. Her vote could have been a yes vote. I mean, it's more about the message, right? Like, even if it wasn't Marjorie Taylor Greene who put the amendment down, like, it would have been good to see more people vote yes to removing $500 million. But it's not what happened. Now, looking at it from the outside, like, people who weren't in on it, again, that people aren't going to really think of the left as being this, like, really kind-hearted, compassionate, this, we lead with kindness kind of people if you're going to vandalize, like, AOC. Like, and if everyone, too, is AOC, right? Like, there are way worse people with worse voting records in Congress, but it was, like, AOC who, like, people like to say darling of the left, but, obviously, like, I think she's done an incredible job. I think her record is, I'm not going to say perfect, but I'm going to say it's really great, really good. And yeah, there are votes that I disagree with, but at the end of the day, like, she's the best we have. So, I don't know. I see it as such a blunder. Which, bringing it back to Zohran now, right? Like, he's still in campaign mode. He has a clean record right now because he's not mayor yet. But I just caution those with hard lines, which turns into purity tests. I know that's not the idea. It's like, it's good to be consistent with your values, but it's also like when you're dealing with multiple parties, not political parties, but like entities, groups, leaders, executives, elected officials, communities, right? Democracy is supposed to be majority rules. So it's going to be very difficult to be able to listen to everyone and appease everyone, especially when so many needs are actually like juxtaposing each other. So, listen, I know Zoran's going to be a good mayor because he has the wherewithal to really think things through. And I'm sure there will be times he will disappoint and he will not live up to everyone's expectations. But I'm saying it right now, he is better than anyone in the field, probably better than like the past 5 mayors. Like, I'm just going to say right now, I think he's going to do really great things, and he might not, right? I don't know. No crystal ball here, but I will say that I have so much faith in him that he will do his best. It's not going to be perfect. So I hope his office doesn't get vandalized, right? But at the end of the day, I would just hope that people recognize that elected officials never going to be perfect. They're not going to be your friends. I mean, they can be, but it's good to just know that the actions of our leaders are important, But I would say the actions of ourselves are equally as important. So that's that on that. Now, another little treat that we got to see was former Vice President Kamala Harris on the Stephen Colbert Show. Okay. Now, recently, there were some business dealings behind the scenes with the network. And essentially, what the story is being shared as is that there was a financial decision. And because of that, Stephen Colbert's show will be canceled in June of 2026. So, everyone, the way he announced it, the way it was so abrupt, and the way it transpired, got everyone like scratching their noggins, because we're all pretty sure it was like, how can the show with 2.4 million viewers, top rated, that's been on air for 30 years, only to be follow David Letterman, right? Like late night host icon. How could Colbert just pull the plug like that over finances when it's like just qualitatively such a powerful show? Doesn't make any sense, right? So clearly, what we also find out was that Trump had something to do with this. Now, it makes sense. Someone who is vindictive, someone who was not one of Colbert's biggest fans, considering Stephen Colbert has been critical of the president. So it makes sense that, yes, the current president of the United States would want to be vindictive, get revenge, and, you know, really screw with Stephen Colbert's career. Now, granted, it's not like he's going to struggle, right? But just the idea that, you know, a whole entire television show or network could now be controlled by the power of the president based on whatever business dealings he sees fit is, you know, not exactly democracy, let's say that. I don't think anyone voted on that, right? So it's not exactly a cute look. But that being said, VP Kamala Harris, former VP, she went on Stephen Colbert's show, right, shortly after the announcement. And as much as, you know, I'll be honest, like just before we start this conversation, like I was so overjoyed with hope. Sunday, July 21st, 2024, when I was looking through my Instagram and then poof, I just saw first Joe Biden's Instagram post and then VP Harris's post and being like, oh, this is happening. Oh, wow, this actually happened. Which, living through history like that is pretty wild to see on your phone, but that's the world we live in. So, point is, I supported Harris to run. I supported Harris when she was running, and I don't regret it. Okay, I do not regret helping Harris almost win. But she didn't. She lost all 7 swing states and the popular vote by 2 million votes. Not great. So, we all knew what happened. We all see what's happened since Trump now, right? So, like, now seeing Harris, who lost, the second woman to receive the Democratic Party's nomination for president and lose within 8 years, and then seeing Colbert, who just had his show the rug ripped out from under him. The optics were just kind of odd. Like, I appreciate Colbert and his humor, and I appreciate Harris and the good that she's done. She hasn't done all good, but like the good that she has done, I appreciate that. So, with that said, you know, it was kind of an awkward moment where like they're both defeated by Trump. Like, yeah, like Trump won in that regard. And like, sure, it's not like politics or real life should be like a series of zeros and ones, but that's how it came across. And even the beginning of their conversation, if you watch the clip, it's like a 30-minute interview, 28 minutes. It's interesting just because you get to really, how do I say it? We're in a very weird moment right now. Colbert's show is on the line. It's on its way out. Something that's been very unheard of. So it's like, what does that even mean or look like or feel like? Harris, she was there on the show to promote her book, 107 Days, which was the amount of time she had before when she announced when she wound up losing the presidential election. And like, as much as Harris has done some good for the country as VP, like she did, wasn't amazing, but she kind of did. So it was so weird. I don't want to be so negative, but like, it wasn't a great conversation. It wasn't. Like, listen, my podcasts aren't great, but I'm like, come on this, Harris, and let's have a nice chat. Or same with Colbert. Like, listen, I'll ask you better questions. Like, the fact that he couldn't even get out of Harris some simple nuggets. Like, the big one was, you know, the fact that Harris alludes to like her birthday being in October and the election being in November, and like, oh, her poor husband Doug, poor Dougie. She kept saying that, right? And she wouldn't tell us like what the story was. Like, okay, so what's with Doug and how did he drop the ball? Like, wouldn't that be a cute haha moment? But like, she's like, we got to read the book. And she made it this awkward running joke, which didn't land, where it's like, if you're just going to answer Stephen Colbert with, oh, it's in the book. Oh, it's in the book. Then why are you on TV/YouTube, like even promoting the book if you just want people to read it? You could just like done a selfie with the book, be like, oh, check out my book. That's it. Like, she wasn't there to really share much about the actual book. Like, oh, this is great, but it's in the book. Oh, you want more detail? It's in the book. Yeah, we know it's in the book, but like, you ran. And even just marketing herself, I felt so bad because she was like telling Colbert like the first like few sentences, like, oh, what's the book about? What do you want people to get out of the book? And she's like, oh, it's a behind the scenes look at my run for president. And then Stephen Colbert's like, that you had to run in 107 days because you were given like no time to run this incredible campaign. And she's like, oh yeah, that too. It's like, how many other presidents and candidates who have won and lost have written a book about running for president? I like, what? Like, what makes your book so different? Like, yes, we know it's you, but like, why so like, I don't know who her PR team is or who her consultants are. Only thing I do know is that both Biden and Harris, when after the election, they both signed on to like a Hollywood talent agency, which like, sure, Hollywood and DC and Washington DC have always been like in cahoots. They've always like, worked well together. But I'm also like, yeah, that talent agency, whoever is doing the PR for Harris, like, they need to step it up. Oh, they need someone new. Like, she did a really poor job navigating this interview when like even her answer as to why she's not running for California governor, which if you noticed, by the way, what was it? I think the interview came out like a few days, the news about California governors, like she's not going to run, came out like on a, I don't forget the days, came out like on a Wednesday, and then her Colbert interview was like on a Thursday, like the very next day. So point being is like, it was very calculated, very planned. So like, aha, she's on Colbert, great. When it's like, yeah, but what are you going to talk about? Like, you'd even tell us while you're not running. She's like, oh, it's because the system's broken. I don't want to be a part of the broken system. So now when I'm talking to voters, doing a book tour, I can be more I don't have to be as transactional, trying to earn their vote. I can just speak candidly and freely. But it's like, you're doing it to run for president in 2028. And you will be asking for their vote implicitly by talking to them, going around the country to talk about your book / why y'all should like me. So, listen, Harris had a really incredible presidential campaign that she almost won with like no time. So it sucks the way it panned out, but she didn't differentiate herself from Joe Biden, which she could have and she should have. So that's on her, completely on her. She needs to be held accountable. She did not have a better plan for the economy when people needed it. We're still in a bad economy. Tangent, for those folks who might not be as like wonky. So every month there's a jobs report, and this jobs report has been going out for decades. And the whole point is to show the country how many jobs are being created based on the bills, based on projects, infrastructure, right? All different like entities within the U.S. government. How are we creating jobs to keep our people working, paying the bills, and keeping unemployment down? So the whole thing during Biden's thing was like inflation shot up all the prices, and Biden was like, look, the stock market's great, the economy's fine. And we're like, no, we shouldn't have to pay $20 for the price of eggs. Fast forward, Trump got in. Now, the May, June, and July job reports, they had to get revised because they were actually very inaccurate the first time. So, meanwhile, originally projected For May and June, they were supposed to have 114,000 jobs each month. And I think the official numbers were like very close to that. But then in July, they were like, oh, our numbers are actually at not 119,000 like we projected, but 73,000. I mean, even it was like 109,000 to 73. Still, it was like less than 100,000 jobs. Now think about it, right? We're a country of 340 to 50 million, right? With like huge swaths of adult working population where we need hundreds of millions of jobs to keep everyone going. So the fact that this administration for for July didn't even break 100,000 jobs. Meanwhile, for May and June, they were down to like 14,000 and 19,000 jobs for that time period. So like to think that out of everything you're doing, all that's going on, you're in charge of the country, and the best you could do was 19,000 jobs? You can't say unemployment's going to go down when you make 19,000 jobs in a country with a population of 350 million. Like, the math ain't mathin'. And, like, listen, if it was a Democrat, it'd be just as bad. It's a Republican and it's Trump, which makes it worse because people thought he would be the businessman to save us from this, right? Like, he would bring inflation down, price of eggs would go down, gas prices would go down. It'd be easier to, pay for just your everyday goods, but that's not what's happening. He ran on that he's like, day one, it's going to change. Day one, it's going to change. We're like 6 months in now, and nothing's really changing. Yeah. So, that being said, Trump's performance is obviously bad. Harris's interview was not so great. I feel so bad because, like, I don't want to just rag on Harris and how bad the interview was. But when you realize that her answers were not authentic, her answers were very calculated, she speaks in political speak. And yes, I understand that she's cautious with her words. She said it herself, that her words can move markets. So yes, you need to be very cautious and calculated, just like Hillary was, but we saw how that does not read well to the American electorate these days. It comes across as, we can't trust you, you're being shady, you're just trying to say whatever you need to say to get our vote. But like, yeah, I mean, she is doing that. But then, going back to the beginning, look at Zohran. He spoke with clarity, moral clarity, even just about policy, in ways that were easy to understand, digestible, and memorable, right? I don't think Harris did that well. I still don't think she does it well. The thing that I'm actually most disappointed about Harris with this interview is that she has such a great personality. She has that big heart, and I know she has her certain views on how she handled things with foreign policy. I'll say that, but I still think she does have a good heart. Okay, both things can be true. I still think she has a good heart. And you see it when she speaks to like young children on the campaign trail. And I feel like that's missing. Like, I want that. I like to see a leader with empathy, and I know she has it. And I feel like that's one of her biggest assets, and it's being underutilized right now. And even part of her message saying how, I'm not going to run for governor because I don't want to be part of the broken system, so I'm just going to take a step back. And then Colbert was just trying to clarify, being like, wow, for you to say that sounds like you're going to quit. And she's like, no, I'm not going to quit. I'm still part of the fight. But then what has Harris said or done in the past few months since Trump has been inaugurated for the second time? Like, she's given very few public appearances, very few public statements, not much else. And like, sure, she doesn't need to because it's her time and her timeline, and she's a private citizen. But again, she has a big heart. I think moral clarity would be so good right now. I think speaking from the heart would mean more than the political speak, right? It's like, yeah, like she was so close to becoming first woman president, most powerful woman in the world, right? First woman of color, powerful person in the world. Like all of that means something, especially black woman with a country with a really bad history, right? So like, it would have moved mountains. But alas, It's not what happened. So now we're stuck with whatever the heck this is. Ugh, it's so bad. So anyway, point is, check out Kamala Harris on Stephen Colbert. You know, you might want a glass of wine to watch it because you're like have a drinking game. Be like every awkward moment, take a drink. You'll enjoy. So point being is, Harris needs to do better if she wants to run for 2028. I don't think she's going to win a primary at this point. If the election were held today, not going to win a primary. Especially with her answers. Obviously, it's too raw. It's too close to the last election. But she is running. Like you can tell by what she's doing, her moves and everything. Like she's going to run for 2028. She will. And if she doesn't, I'd be very surprised. But she will. Excuse me. And then also, same with Gavin Newsom. He's making his rounds to run. He's been wanting to run since Biden's first term. Like after 2020, he's like, all right, I'm going for 2024. But then he's like, I'll wait because the party was going to unify around Biden. Rest is history. And then Buttigieg, right? He's like, I almost had it in 2020. If only I can pull more than 1%. Actually, if you could pull any percent with black voters, because he was polling at 0, consistently low. Yeah, I think he's still pulling consistently low with black voters, which is like, yeah. Says more about him than it does about the electorate, especially because, like, Buttigieg is more moderate and he comes from that camp. And black voters generally of a certain age, like over 45, are more moderate. We saw that very clearly in the New York City mayoral primary for Zohran, right? Like older black voters did not support Zohran; they supported Cuomo. Young black voters supported Mamdani, part of his coalition. So Buttigieg, neither. They're all like, nope, sorry, enough mayonnaise for me. Thanks for playing. So yeah, might not happen. The most disappointing thing was Pete Buttigieg's comments about trans rights. Basically, he was on one of the bro podcasts and he was actually, it's a good point. I saw another influencer actually bring this up. The conversation wasn't exactly about trans rights per se, but somehow it came up and it was like trans rights neutral, like just trans rights in general. But for Buttigieg, he specifically focused or brought up trans women in sports. Now, when I hear trans rights, I think gender affirming care because that's how they live. They need gender affirming care, hormones, or something as simple as like getting a haircut. Like getting a haircut can be considered gender affirming care because it affirms their gender based on the style they get to present themselves as more male or female or masc or femme, right? So like, yes, that is gender affirming care. So with that said, the fact that Buttigieg was like, oh, well, with trans women in sports, it's really about fairness. And it's like, how about they just have the right to exist first? Like people are being so vicious and mean about the trans community. And like the fact that Buttigieg is like, oh, well, I guess it's all about fairness. I'm like, what? It's such a weird take because it's like, A, no one brought it up except for you. And then B, it's like, yeah, you can pander to people like because the bros think it's about fairness. So Buttigieg wants to fit in and also make it about fairness. But look at Zohran. Zohran's like such a bro, but he's liberal. I don't want to say liberal, but he's like a liberal bro. For people who aren't like specific about the labels, like Zohran's like a liberal bro, right? Not like a conservative bro. So like Zohran, liberal bro, he's a socialist, right? So Zohran is not transphobic. Like, very strong policies on trans rights. Clearly, they were intersectional. They were rooted in the community, like coming from the trans community themselves, like to have that conversation of like what is most needed. And it's like, boom, like his policies were so on the mark for meeting the moment, but also like things that could actually be accomplished, right? And he didn't waver on it. He wasn't saying like, no, trans women shouldn't be in sports. It's like, no, they need housing. They need gender affirming care. We're going to make that happen in New York City. Like, poof, what an idea. Stand for something and fight for it. But Buttigieg is like, oh, but fairness. I'm like, he could have easily, like, okay, so my take, Buttigieg could have easily said, and this is what I would have wished he said, because I'd say, listen, like, first off, trans people exist. They have the right to exist, as do we. All of us do, right? First off, like, trans rights are human rights. So get that out of the way. Make that clear. And from that, be like, I hear your point about fairness. You feel that trans folks have an unfair advantage. While you may have sources that say that and you may feel that is your concern, I want you to think about, consider, how we're dictating who gets to play in sports, right? Why should it be me? Why should it be you who says if they get to play? Trans people should decide what sports they play and whatever team they're on. Why should the government step in and actually say, you get to play this sport, you get to play that sport? Last time I checked, we are a free country. We should have the choice to choose what sports we play and whatnot. And listen, if there really is like some hell-bent like crazies out there, you could always say, hey, leave it up to the sports leagues, leave it up to the professionals, or leave it up to the communities. I can guarantee you there will be some liberal communities out there who will gladly say we accept all players on all teams. But there's going to be conservative communities who are going to be like, nope, cisgender only. Which, I guess if that's how you want to be, exclusive. If you want to teach kids or anyone about teamwork, but then exclude people, that's not exactly being cooperative or teaching teamwork. So it's really weird. I don't get it. I mean, people are starving. People are going into medical debt. People are losing their homes. But playing on a sport is the big issue here. So, like, I don't get it. I do not understand. We have much bigger fish to fry. America needs to do better. And, like, listen, like, right now, like, coming with the facts, Pew Research, this is February 2025, Pew Research had shown that 60% of Americans do not support trans women in sports. So that's where we are. I'm not saying that's good. I'm just saying that is, if we took a snapshot of this time in history, that is where we're at. So I can understand a little bit why Buttigieg was trying to make that case, being like, oh, I understand it's about fairness, because that's where the majority of the country is. Like, and because it's 60%, it's not just conservatives. You got liberals who are like transphobic. Like, we're humans. We're not ideologically linear. Our experiences shape our minds, our values, our morals, everything. So, like, it's all over the place. But with that said, Zohran's approach is much better. Stood for something, fight for something. Buttigieg, I'm going to go with the majority because that's going to get me votes down the road. Or even if he's like, I want to try to relate to you because I want you to know that I will fight for you too. Like, there's different ways you could look at that message and kind of see how Buttigieg was trying, what he was trying to do. Okay, so let's put it this way, right? With everything going on right now with Trump's administration, I will gladly vote for someone else in 2028 because this is not good, right? We're not an authoritarian regime and fascism. Oh, it's coming. No, it's here. It's here. The move that Trump is making, it's already here. And with everything else going on, it's like, yeah, corruption clear as day. Billionaires are going to take over. Like, we are going to get so screwed with so much. And it's like, we have like very little hope out of this. So like, the least we can do is like vote for someone else to get Trump out. I'm game. Like, now granted, like, this is where I feel like we're going to see a repeat of 2024 and 2028. Because even if you hear like a lot of people, usually the left, talk about the current potential candidates, right? Like AOC, I think she's going to run for Senate, New York senator. But if she does run for president, she's already had that no vote, people vandalizing her office. So I'm like, yeah, she could organize to win, but then lose it because enough leftists either vote third party or stay home. Or, even Gavin Newsom, he's also made transphobic comments, and those comments are going to hurt and be like, we like him a lot, but not enough to vote. And then a lot of people will stay home and vote third party. And it's not bad if you vote third party or stay home because everyone has their right to do that. I guess my point is, and same with Buttigieg, if he runs and if Harris runs, right, like they all have their baggage. The key to politics is don't piss off the wrong people. And the race for 2028 is going to be, who did you piss off the least? So, with that said, between Harris, Gavin Newsom, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, they've all pissed people off. Lots of people on the left, which is fine because it's all for good things that they're pissed off about. But I guess for me, seeing how the alternative is Trump, I will take their baggage over Trump's baggage. I will take their baggage over any Republicans that's going to be baggaged in 2028 and beyond. So, but also I'm registered in a blue state, in a very safe blue state. So here in New York, like it's not going red. And like, yes, it's getting more purple these days, but for 2020, it's not going to go red. So there's that. But for everyone else, if anyone watching is in a swing state or a purple state, I highly recommend you consider that you vote for the Democrat with the least amount of baggage, because any of their baggage is better than any of Trump's baggage. Okay? So, like, just saying it now, y'all can get mad. Y'all can hold them accountable. Just don't put people in harm's way. Don't vandalize, right? There's a way to do it. Vandalism and putting people in harm's way is not it. End of the day, I trust that y'all will do what's best for you, which hopefully is what's best for the country. And listen, we've got years before 2028, but make sure that whatever you do is that it's good for democracy, because Trump, that's not suitable for democracy. I'll leave you with that. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you heard and want to learn more, then make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Or if you want to connect and get more content, then make sure to follow me on Instagram at NSFD_pod. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, democracy is not suitable without you.